This is the Realty Classroom Podcast, episode number 206. Don't be a bad employee and a worse boss. Are you a real estate agent who wants to turn your real estate job into a business without sacrificing your lifestyle, but you just can't seem to find the right plan or any plan to help you get there? Well, then, hey, you are definitely in the right place. I'm Danny Griffin, the founder of the Realty Classroom and the host of this podcast. Now, to help you take immediate action to get started in the right direction, I've created a free jumpstart course for you that's waiting at freeagentgift.com. All right, let's get started. Don't be a bad employee and a worse boss. What the heck does that mean? How can you be all these things to begin with? Well, let's start off with the first point here is that you have to recognize in the real estate agent business that you are a business owner. We talk about this all the time at the TRC podcast here, and especially my coaching group. We base it off of one of the books behind me, Michael Gerber, talking about the entrepreneurial myth. And really the eye-opener for me when I was first introduced to that body of work for small business people is that you do have to get out of that employee mindset. And in real estate, it's strange how we easily fall into it because we typically start off under a brokerage, I think, in the majority, if not all, states in the United States, and it's similar in Canada. Mexico seems to be a little bit different these days. I'm trying to open up down there, but I think the key point is that we are all independent contractors and we go work for these big corporations per se as an independent contractor because we have to affiliate. So we don't really quite feel completely independent, and maybe that's the problem. That's why when you hang your license, quote unquote, with another brokerage, which is a big corporation and looks like any corporation, you have the sense of becoming an employee, because you're really not independent per se. So I get it. So maybe that's what throws everybody off, especially if you're brand new to the business and you're coming out of something like corporate or a corporate structure where you've worked as an employee. So it is a gear shift, but you have to recognize that you are fully responsible as the owner of your own business. Unless, of course, I mean, there are some major companies, in fact, who have tried to turn real estate agents into employees. And it's a difficult situation because it's such a massively commission-based business in the way that it behaves. I mean, sure, you could turn it into a salaried business, but the income is so unbelievably predictable, and nobody wants to deal with the fact of the matter that most real estate agents sell about 3 properties a year. I know the stat says the typical agent sells more than that. I don't even know what stat typical is. I took stats. I don't remember there being something called typical. Maybe a sample would be a typical sample, but that's not average. I mean, let's just look at the hard numbers. You sell X number of properties or you don't, period. There's a median number. I remember that from early on in my math days, and an average. That's it. That'll tell you the middle number of sales and the average number of sales. And back in the day when they used to be honest about that, I just remember it was always about 3 plus or minus a year. And it varies across the country, but that's about it. So that is a very difficult thing if you're a big corporation to predict. Furthermore, you're not really able to lock an independent contractor into a long-term employment-like contract. So you see, we have these problems in predicting income. So if you can't predict income, how can you hire a lot of employees who are your sales staff? It's a problem. And that's why it has largely stayed in independent contractor business. So if you recognize that, the minute you say you're an independent contractor, you're a business owner. And you're fully responsible for the outcome of that business. Now, I do understand as a broker owner myself of our company, the Griffin, which also does business as Griffin Realty Group. If you want to look around and see how we do what we do, it's all based on these same philosophies. I mean, we want to make sure our agents understand from day one, you're responsible. But we understand that to hang your license with us, we have to attract you by giving you systems, by sharing what we've learned and educating you on those predictable systems that make your business more predictable and sustainable and much better than a part-time 2 or 3 deal a year job, right? Meaning an extra source of income for you. Your side hustle per se. It's scary when you think about the side hustle is helping somebody sell or buy the single largest financial, item that most people will ever buy or sell in their lifetime. And we've relegated it to a side hustle. Ugh. That's why I do this. I try to give this stuff away so that even if you are just doing a couple deals a year, you can professionalize that so everything goes the right way. Then I'm fine with 2 or 3 deals a year as long as you've been professionalized. Okay, enough. So it is a business, and it seems a little overwhelming when you start to have a real discussion about it, but I can simplify what it means to be a bad employee for yourself. So, really, when you think about it, now you're an independent contractor, but you do become your own employee. Now, whether that's just in a behavior format or you actually, as an independent contractor, you yourself incorporate. So from the very beginning of my career, I was incorporated as Danny Griffin Real Estate, Inc. from the very day. So that I set up that independent contractor situation as a business under another business. And so that takes on certain tax implications, and I became my own employee technically. So that's what I'm talking about there, is that now you're an employee of your own business. You're it. So you have to do the work of an employee to, really do everything, right? I mean, when you're there in the beginning, you're the everything employee. So you have to deal with marketing. You have to deal with converting relationships from lead to prospect to client. You have to do the closing coordination. Maybe you get some help from the brokerage and the closing coordinator, but you're still responsible. Then once those people are past clients, you're fully responsible for staying in touch, educating them, and really being mechanical about doing the work that it takes to get repeat and referred business. So there's a lot of work for the main employee. So don't be a bad one, meaning you can't show up when you want to and not show up when you don't want to. The work must get done. I say this to my kids all the time. Just do the work. Just do the work. But that does really, I guess that stimulates or agitates. Well, what work do I do? I'm willing to do it. I'm a bad employee because I don't know what to do. Okay, so let's segue into the worst boss part of this podcast here today. All right, so let's just assume we all get it. All right, I'm running around doing things haphazardly, and I'm being a bad and maybe even a lazy employee. So how do I get out of this trap in my own business? Well, now you have to look at yourself through the lens of being the boss. And so recognize that the boss, really, the person that's really organizing this, not necessarily the owner, it's the manager. So your inner manager is actually the boss. That's the person that's trying to orchestrate all the employee-like work that has to take place. So you have to evolve as a manager. And I will tell you, if you're a listener of this podcast or you've heard any of my stuff before, there's an obsession in the Realty classroom for me, I'm the test crash dummy per se. I'm the guinea pig. I'm the test. So I've been out there for years trying to turn myself from just an employee into a manager so that I can be a better owner. And I realized that management is really the challenge. That's it. Because even if you have an MBA, it's not necessarily an MBA in how to manage and grow a small business. I mean, there are plenty of entrepreneurial courses you could take, but I mean, I think there's nothing that's a better teacher than trying to get in there and do it, and I have. And so I will share with you how I do that. What I recognized is that, and thanks to Michael Gerber's work, I just was able to recognize myself as being tripolar. So I'm the owner of the independent contractor business. I'm in this case, the guy who has to do all the work. But then there's this missing management. And I know that I think I'm open to how to manage, but I really didn't know how. So I'll tell you what I did. Here's the solution in this podcast here today. I learned that when you build a step-by-step system of simple checklists, it's actually easier to be both an accountable employee and a disciplined boss. Let me explain this, because as a coach of top producers, and some of them have been with me a long time, I say it in all of my podcasts at the end, and I'll say it at the end of this one. Nobody's coming for you, okay? Nobody's coming to say, here's the franchise and here's the way it works. I've been looking around the real estate agent business forever, and nobody has ever really taken the time to put together a step-by-step holistic approach for agents. So I tried to do that. At Free Agent Gift, you can see what I tried to do. I tried to put together an infographic that says, here's a management module that's at the front of every one of our businesses. Marketing. And I don't mean marketing just with lead generation. I mean, how do you position yourself in your unique selling proposition in a business that just seems so commoditized with the population? Everybody says, oh, all you realtors are the same. No, we're not. No, we're not. I'll guarantee you that. We are not. And I have obsessed and spent an enormity of time learning that I'm not, learning how to be different. And sometimes it's just about mastering the obvious, but everything is available to each of us to make the same thing unique. See, I know that the body of work is, okay, you pretty much take somebody through a selling process and a buying process. There are universal steps. Yes, there are. But the way that you see that, the way that you do that, the way that you market that to somebody is unique. And it turns out it's very easy to be unique in the way that you manage your marketing. The next thing is, what's the step-by-step process that when that marketing begins to introduce you to people that you don't know, then what? Well, now you have to go through managing conversion. See, there are a lot of people that would love help buying or selling. Right before this podcast, I'm fresh off an open house at a luxury property in Boston. Oh, nobody comes there in luxury. Really? 90 minutes, I never stopped talking to people who came in to visit. So I have this very clear systematic approach when I run an open house to acquire the information of the people that came so that I can see, is it a situation where they have an agent or not? If they don't, could I offer them some more free what to do information to empower them to make a decision on the property I'm representing or something else? See, that's a step-by-step checklist. And so I'm not a bad employee at an open house. That's a perfect example. I have to go do the work of being an employee of my business, and especially my own book of business, to take care of my client who trusted me with this beautiful property that has a difficult situation attached to the association that he's expecting me to solve, and I will. So I have to go in there and be an employee, but I have to be a good one. So the manager says, don't just go up there and start talking to people. Go up there and be organized. Understand what the system of running that open house looks like. Understand that the way that you will communicate the situation at the condominium and explain that. How organized will you be so that when you leave there, you check the box as a good employee who can really, I know it sounds like bipolar, but now you start talking to yourself, okay, let's go back to the seller and let's go back to the client care manager, my client care manager and the seller, and let's explain as an employee what happened and what the follow-up is because it's encouraging news. So you see, when you build that step-by-step process for everything, well, all of a sudden, it's easier to be accountable to that. See, a bad employee is one who, I feel bad in this situation. A lot of agents don't know what to do, especially new agents. So at our brokerage, The Griffin, which is expanding now across the country, we're trying to simplify for the brand new agent what to do and how to do it. So we have the same systems that I've been developing for my own book of business, my own sales machine, and using, but now we're able to chunk that up and say, look, you are the same thing I am. You're immediately a business owner. Welcome. My company recognizes your company in the relationship we're in. Now, my company is an educationally based brokerage. We're going to teach you how to become empowered in our buyer plan and in our seller plan, and you have to learn those. But you're going to have to go do the work that I do as an employee, and here's how you do that. So you see, it's easy for them to be accountable to themselves, and as a brokerage, they can be accountable to the systems that we have because we're trying to give them a higher standard. We can't tell them what to do, but you joined us for this reason. So if you don't want to be a bad employee in your own business, follow these systems that we have already proven, and you'll get these results. And if not, come back for some coaching and we'll make adjustments. So you see, what's happening now is if they come and do the training and the coaching with us, they're becoming a disciplined boss in systems so that when they go out and play employee, they're accountable. I hope this is not too confusing because it's actually a relatively simple thing. So let me go back and summarize it. The concept that I heard recently was really good. Don't be a bad employee and a worse boss. And it really summarized this body of work at the TRC I've been after. And let me hit these bullet points one more time. First, recognize you're the fully responsible owner of the business within which there is employee work and boss work, aka manager work. So first, recognize you're the main employee. If you just got started and you don't have anybody helping you really per se, even the brokerage, even if it's a good brokerage helping you, you're the main employee. You're responsible for everything. Okay. So as the owner, main employee, recognize that. But the third point here was to release your inner manager. That's the boss. And by being a worse boss, that means you're unorganized. How do you expect you, the employee, to be organized if you, the boss, has absolutely no clue what to do and how to do it? So the solution was this, the point 4. When and if you, as the inner manager boss, will just build a step-by-step system of checklists. I do this way. I do that way. And you might have to go to the broker, the brokerage, or classes, whatever, to learn how to build those things, right? But when you do that, it's easier to be both an employee who is now accountable to those systems and a boss who is disciplined in those systems, keeping you accountable there, right? So everything gets easier, actually. I keep trying to tell my clients this, my coaching clients, it just gets easier. You get more time. You want to know how to time manage? I'm telling you how to do it, right? I mean, I have 5 kids at home. I now have 4 different businesses under the umbrella of real estate. And people say, well, where do you get the time? You really work hard. Sure, I work hard, but I am so organized because the inner manager has been developed that when the employee goes to do work, it's efficient. See, right now doing these podcasts, and by the way, I don't do 1 podcast, I do 3. So after driving all the way to Boston today, doing 90 minutes worth of employee work, coming all the way back down to Cape Cod, sitting down, writing and filming 3 podcasts, and going out to do 1 more open house today. It's an easy day's work because it's organized, right? So let me summarize it this way. And that wasn't to brag. It's to just listen to me. I'm telling you, just listen to how I got out of the trap of drowning myself, okay? I'm on the other side and I'm sharing, hey, psst, here's the secret keys to get out of the jail you locked yourself in. I'll summarize it by saying this. Many real estate agents struggle to turn their job into a real business, specifically because they're a bad employee and a terribly undisciplined boss of themselves and later on others. So the solution is to document a step-by-step business plan against which you, the boss manager, will be able to hold you and other employees accountable to the work that must get done in a fair and equitable manner. All right, remember, you can take immediate action and get started in the right direction with our free, simple business plan that's waiting at freeagentgift.com. Freeagentgift.com. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen. We also post our content on YouTube. So I film these, I put it up on YouTube. So if you rather watch and listen at the same time because you're visual, or you just like to listen to YouTube when you're walking around like I do at the gym, don't forget you can subscribe to the Realty Classroom channel on YouTube. We put these up every week. We'd also appreciate it if you would share our content with other real estate agents just like you so that they get the help that they need. But here we go. I say it all the time, and I warned you it was coming today. Nobody's coming for you. Absolutely nobody. So go get to work on your business, and we'll see you in the next episode to help you do just that. Thanks.